The Celtics had a really, really, really big high and a really, really, really low. Literally, did you see Paul Pierce's interview after the game where he finds out about Rondo?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
they're all because before the game started, it was just that he was going to miss the game. He had soreness, whatever. Before even Rondo knew it, the media had known about his torn ACL from talking to doctors. And they actually, Jackie McMullen actually broke it to Rondo while Rondo was on. Rondo walked back into the building. He went out, got his MRIs on, walked back into the building, was going into the trainer's office, talked to the doctors. Before he could do that, he was actually stopped by Jackie McMullen. And Jackie actually said to him, "Oh, so Rondo, I heard about your torn ACL.
How you feel?"
And he was like, "Well, I didn't even know that. I was actually just on my way to talk to the doctors." He apparently heard it in the double overtime game against Atlanta the other night. Had some soreness, wasn't sure what was going on. Actually came out and did the team walkthrough and actually attempted to warm up with the team, and then that's when he felt it and he just didn't think he could go, and they decided to go check it out. It's a big-time loss. And listen, I understand that the Celtics rose up and they were able to beat the Heat. The Celtics are still a good team. But without Rondo, they're not a championship-caliber team. They're not a team I'm going to pick in a 7-game series over a team like the Heat, over a team like the Knicks, or even a team probably like a Brooklyn or Chicago. Chicago and Boston would be a dogfight because they both play great defense, but I think the loss of Rondo in the long run is going to hurt them because it's just going to put more pressure on Pierce and Garnett. And without Ray Allen there this year to take some more pressure off them, now they've actually, Doc Rivers said that Sullinger is going to be the starter for take over that starting role for Rondo. But that's not even replacing him with a point guard. You're replacing him with a forward, so it's kind of like, well, then who's taking over?
Probably Avery Bradley. They'll probably slide Avery Bradley up the point, Paul Pierce up the 2 guard, and then you bring in Sullinger to play power or small forward.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the swing they're going to make. I personally think you make a because the decision is pretty much, are they going to just say, screw it, we thought pretty much looked at this year as our last year anyway, so let's blow it up, trade these guys, trade that guy, start stockpiling chances to build for our future? Or do we make a move to try and get a veteran point guard in here that can shoulder the load for us for the remainder of the season? I mean, that's pretty much the 2 options that they're looking at.
Yeah, again, I don't think they necessarily go out and trade for a point guard. Because I think they're going to look at it as, well, we're going to get Rondo back next year, so what's the point in going out and trading for a guy that we're just going to have to keep on our roster, trying to re-sign or whatever. And the other thing is, who's really out there to go trade for?
Well, if you look at, there's a few teams that have that older veteran point guard starting perhaps, or playing behind a younger.
Listen, I don't think
that
the Knicks are trading Kidd.
No, I don't. I'm talking you can look at. I think New Orleans is one of them. You got the New Orleans Hornets where they're rocking with Austin Rivers, and then you still also have Vasquez playing point guard for him as well. So. Like a situation like that, I'm not saying specifically New Orleans, but there are teams in the NBA that have that young point guard that really isn't going to be anything until they get more playing time. So a team that's willing to move a veteran guy, you know what I mean? Or I think Toronto is another good example. You have Bargnani, not Bargnani. I got to get their roster up in front of me. I don't know their roster that well. It's Toronto. I'm not upset with myself for not knowing the roster that well. They got John Lucas, Kyle Lowry, John Lucas and Jose. There you go. Kyle Lowry and Jose Calderon. Those are the 2 names that I really wanted to pull out. You know what I mean? So you have these teams that are rolling with 2 point guards. I mean, Jose Calderon's making $10 million this year. Kyle Lowry's making 5.7. So you get one of those nice chunks off your salary cap. Maybe get a draft pick or something out of it from Boston. You're a team that's really not in the playoffs.
But if you're Boston, do you just want to take on more salary just because right now?
I'm
or
not
do you
saying
think that you can roll with Bradley for a while? I don't think the Celtics go out and make a deadline move. I really don't.
I'm just saying there are options out there. It's not like they're just completely. And not to mention the NBA is starting to use that was part of their new collective bargaining agreement, is that the NBA now can use their D-League teams as sort of like minor league teams, where it's sort of like we can bring this guy up or put him back down, and they don't have to worry about losing them. They don't have to sign them to brand new contracts. I think they just have to add a page, whatever. I'm not sure what the legal stuff behind it is, but the bottom line is NBA teams now can use their D-League players as sort of like a minor league roster where they can bring a guy up to come in and fill in and take some minutes. So there are options for Boston. I think the idea, though, of breaking it apart, I don't like that idea. I don't like the trade Garnett or look at trading Pierce I don't like it. I don't think that's what you need to do. I think that the nucleus you have is the main reason that you're competitive with or without Rondo. Because they have almost an identical win percentage with Rondo on the court and with him off. It's just that those numbers get really skewed.
It's a small sample size.
Yeah, those numbers get really skewed because of how small the amount of games are in comparison to how many games he did actually play.
Yeah, I mean they're 3-3 without him, and the rest of their scheduled 2 games under 500 with him.
Yeah, I mean they're 21-23 on the year. They lead Philly by only 2.5 games for the 8th spot. Rondo's averaging 14 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals a game. He's played in he's played in 38 of the 44 games that they've played in. I mean, it's a big blow for Boston. It's going to be really hard to hold on to that number 8 seed. I don't see them going too much higher.
I definitely see him still in the playoffs, but I'll agree with you. I don't think I see him higher than maybe the 6th seed. Maybe.
That's being really nice, man.
Maybe, I said.
I mean, the East themselves, there's not really anybody. The only team that's going to catch them from behind is Philadelphia. I have no disrespect to Detroit, but I mean, Detroit's the second closest to them. They're 3.5 games back, but no disrespect to Detroit. Philadelphia's the only team that's going to catch them. Milwaukee, you can't lie. I've watched Milwaukee collapse year in and year out for a long time. So I can't sit there and say I wouldn't be surprised if they passed them, but I don't see them getting past Atlanta, Indiana, Brooklyn. I don't see them passing any of them. So, my opinion, they're going to struggle to hold on to the 8. I think they do, but they're going to struggle. It's not going to be easy. Big win, though, against Miami, man. I don't know what Miami was doing on that last play of the double overtime. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but Shane Battier ends up being the one taking the shot, chucking it up from like 3 feet behind the 3-point line. LeBron James just standing there. Literally just standing there. Doesn't move. I don't get that one.
Well, LeBron doesn't want that last shot.
And then somehow Dwayne Wade doesn't even touch the ball. He just inbounds it. That's it. I was very confused on that final play. It was one of those many reasons why I love ripping into Erich Spoelstra as a head coach. Terribly drawn up final play. Terribly drawn up. I have no idea what they were trying to do in that play.
Now, see, I look at this, going back to the schedule. Like, I know you have it up there as far as playoff standings go. I don't have that necessarily in front of me. But the way I look at it, I mean, Chicago could, I don't think it would be out of the realm possibility for them to move up ahead of a Milwaukee. I still think Brooklyn comes back down to earth at some point. I still think they're playing above their heads right now.
I say it because they're 2 games under 500 with Rondo.
Yeah.
2 games under 500 with Rondo. It's hard to believe they're going to jump their record to, let's see, 4, 6, 8 games above 500, which are all the teams we're talking about right now. You know what I mean? You're talking. They would need to. They need to literally have a better record than these teams for the final stretch, and they couldn't do it with Rondo on the court. So what leads you to believe that they can do it without him on the court? Unless they get
there's
that
a better chance
motivational.
I think there's a better chance of Boston surpassing Milwaukee than I do of Philadelphia leapfrogging Boston.
That's a good question. Be a good way. That'd be like a good poll question we could put. Like if we had the ability to take polls on our website, that'd be a good poll question. Hey, Celtics fans, do you have a better chance of passing Milwaukee for the 7th seed or losing the 8th seed to Philadelphia?
I still think they have a better shot at the 7th seed than they do of the 9 seed.
The only thing the only reason why I don't want to give like some hardcore direct answer or response to that is because I haven't watched a lot of Philadelphia basketball. And to me, Philadelphia gets Bynum back. You got to watch out for that team. You just do. They have some really talented guys on their team. But at the same time, I like I said, being a Bulls fan, I've watched Milwaukee collapse for years, just years. It's just what they do. Injuries get them, and they just can't recover from them. But Monte Ellis and Brandon Jennings in that backcourt, that's a dangerous combination. I don't think Boston does any better than the 8 seed. That's about the one thing that I will confidently say right now. I don't think Boston gets out of the 8. Like, I don't see them doing any better than the 8. I just don't. So that would be the confident answer I can give. When it comes down to better chance of Philly catching them or a better chance of them catching Milwaukee, I'll go with the better chance of Philly catching them just because I think that Rondo thing, it's going to do one of two things. And you know you can agree with me on this one, Eric. And I think most people that are pretty diehard with sports will agree with me. A big injury like this to a big-name player tends to do one of two things to a team. They tend to either fold and say, well, our season's done. Or they sit there and say, screw all our haters. We're going to show you that even without him, we're still a really good basketball team. And me personally, I believe that they're more likely to go with the screw all you, we're still a really good basketball team with leaders like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Doc Rivers at head coach. But I just don't know if they have the actual talent to do it. Rondo makes a lot of guys on that team a lot better than they really are. That's what makes Rondo a great point guard, is he makes guys on that team better than they really are. So it's a big blow if you're a Celtics fan. That's the bottom line of it. It really is.